Hello and welcome to Lofty Pursuits and Public Displays of Confection in Tallahassee, Florida, where we make hard candy. Well, at least most of the time. We can't make hard candy when there's a lot of air pressure changes and humidity. And hey, the hurricane is upon us. This is Hurricane Michael. It's going to be hitting Tallahassee in about 8 to 12 hours after this video was recorded. And we're going to talk about how air pressure affects candy making, as well as humidity and other weather factors. And in the meantime, we're going to enjoy a hurricane tomorrow, so since you guys have complained to me that I haven't been putting a lot of poetry in my videos lately, let's start out with a poem. A poem from Lofty Pursuits. Today there's rain, but don't complain or waste your tears of sorrow. If you can wait, we'll have a great big hurricane tomorrow. You know, I love that poem. I first read it when I was about 10 years old in Mad Magazine, and I've never forgotten it. Hurricanes are sort of a theme for us sometimes. Our band, the Lofty Pursuits Marching Band, plays on a regular basis at Hurricane's Grill and Bar just up the street from our store. I couldn't think of a more appropriate accompanying music, except perhaps for this. To make this design, I used a slightly different technique than I normally do. I started by coloring all the sugar blue, and I flavored it with cotton candy because all the clouds make me think of cotton candy right now, and I don't make this flavor often. I colored it blue to represent the sea. In the aerial photos that we see of the storm all the time, it's always white against blue, and I made the blue transparent. Now for the white, I'm going to be using a chiaroscuro technique from light into darkness, and I'm adding white to the blue. I normally don't use white food coloring, but in this case, this is what white food coloring is for. Normally, when I mix colors into the candy, the colors are actually a bit wispy from where the spoon goes. It's inconsistent going from light to dark, but I wanted the blue to be really even, and this is the only way I found to accomplish this effect. Mind you, I never really cover up all the blue. The white will be bluish, but against this stark blue background, the light blue white will look bright white to your eyes. Optical illusions are a wonderful thing, and I like to take advantage of them when I can. You may notice the bars are farther apart on the table, and it looks like there's more sugar here. That's because there is. I tend to make larger batches when I'm not videoing. This is because the videotaping sort of gets in the way, and the smaller batches are easier to shoot. In this case, I couldn't get the detail on the clouds I want unless I made a bigger batch. I'm also going to be using a machine to help me at the end roll them out. In the comments of many of my videos, I see people comment how large the scissors are. What they don't realize is I've been making smaller batches. These are the big scissors. And I'm using them to cut the colors apart. In this case, a whitish blue and a dark blue, and we're going to assemble it into a spiral cloud. I'm sitting here editing this video, and it's less than 8 hours from landfall of the storm. Normally, I'm not worried about a hurricane because our houses are built for it. Florida, well, if you're not ready for a hurricane, you probably shouldn't live in the state. I do get nervous when Jim Cantore lands in my local airport. You see, the state of Florida has been trying to keep him out. They've even issued this trespass warning. He seems to have made it in. He landed in Tallahassee, and he appears to have gone down to Apalachicola, a city not too far from here. So this is telling me we're pretty much at ground zero. People have been asking me how I'm doing, and it's great. The skies are clear, it's sunny, the birds are chirping. You know, it's the calm before the storm, and that's going to end soon. And the rain is the reason why I've been trying to cram so many batches into a day. You see, when it rains, it's hard to make candy. It might even be impossible on some days. And we could easily get a couple of consecutive days of rain, maybe even a week, and that'll shut down production, and I want to be as far ahead as possible. In Tallahassee, we know rain. We have a rainy season all summer long, and we have to work around it. But why does rain affect candy making? I'm putting about half the white candy on the hook, and I'm pulling it to make it even whiter. My goal here is to have multiple shades of white and make it a little wispy so the clouds look more real. Yes, I know it's light blue, just work with me. I'm going to start by making the eye of the cloud. I'm going to do this by just rolling a cylinder of blue candy and cooling it under the fan. The cooler it is, the more round it'll stay through the whole process. There is a risk if it gets too hard, it'll never pull out at the end when I do the final stretching. If you want to get this candy, this Cotton Candy Hurricane is available for a limited time at www.pd.net. If you're ever in Tallahassee, please come and visit us. We'd love to see you. People talk about the cooking temperature of a pot of sugar and water, and what they don't understand is all these states, hard crack and soft crack, are done texturally because the thermometer doesn't give you the true reading. What are you measuring with the thermometer but temperature? But what the information we really want to know is how much moisture is left in the solution. This is one of the reasons that Grandma can't make her divinity on a rainy day. She's counting on the temperature to tell her what the moisture content is. And on a rainy day, air pressure changes. If you think about it, the boiling point of water is not a fixed number. We talk about 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's at sea level on a dry standard day. If the air pressure is higher, or you're at a higher altitude, say Denver, Colorado, the boiling point may be lower, and you won't have to take the candy as hot to get rid of all the water. So just a storm coming through with its high pressure and low pressure fronts moving can mess up the cook time of sugar. And this is why, even if you followed the directions to the letter, on the wrong air pressure or humidity day, and we'll get to humidity later, the candy just never hardens right. Or it burns in the pot, and you don't understand why because you just did it like this a month or two ago. A sugar and water solution causes more problems. One of them is humidity. You see, if there's that much moisture in the air, like there often is in Tallahassee, it's hard to get the water out of a pot of boiling water to evaporate. This means the cook time gets much, much longer sometimes, and you can't really control it. If the humidity changes during a cook cycle, and it does here in Florida sometimes, it can really mess you up. You see, sugar is a eutectic solution. In other words, it does a phase change as it cooks and changes temperature. We all know that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit, but sugar and water now have two elements in it. The sugar doesn't necessarily have the same upper limit of temperature as water does. Boiling water just won't be over that 100 degrees Celsius, 212 degrees Fahrenheit point. But the sugar can get hotter. The solution itself can't get hotter until it loses the water, which limits the percentage of temperature as water versus sugar. And with this comes a phase change. The phase change is at about 253 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can see this boiling sugar and water. As it boils, it slowly and quickly goes up to 253, and as it approaches 253, it starts slowing down. It just sits there at that point for a very long time. Then all of a sudden, it starts going faster and faster and faster through the 310 degrees that we want in Tallahassee. But if you miss it, it burns. And it seems to be accelerating its speed of temperature going up. This means it's extremely easy to burn that pot of sugar. And that temperature time, or the time that it takes to cook this, can be longer and shorter depending on ambient humidity. And of course, when it rains in Tallahassee, the humidity goes way up. It may not be obvious what I've been doing in the background here with the candy. I've been pulling out thin sheets of candy in tapers, and I'm building it so that I can build a spiral around the eye that I made. You see, looking at photos, it appears that there's sort of 3 different arms to this hurricane. So I wanted to capture all of them, and I'm making one arm, and I'm going to duplicate it 3 times, and then I'm going to try to roll it around the center. The challenge, of course, is while the hurricane has 3 arms, I only have 2. And it'll be a bit of a juggling act. So why did I make this video on hurricane candy? I mean, besides the obvious, there is a hurricane on its way to Tallahassee. I made it because, well, I've read in my comments that you guys sometimes find my videos relaxing. Some of you post that you go to sleep with them, some of you post that it solves problems on a stressful day, and I can't tell you how proud that makes me feel that my videos help you in a way I never thought they could. But candy making relaxes me. And having a hurricane come to you and going to supermarkets and finding all the coolers sold, well, except for the ones with the Gator logos on it. This is FSU territory. And finding the water bottles gone and seeing my neighbors panic and are really concerned has been really stressing me out. Lofty Pursuits is about being calm and relaxing. People come to Lofty Pursuits to be happy, and that's what we've been staying open and doing. But, we had a bunch of refugees from South Florida in, and they thought it might be fun to make this candy, so I'm doing it and putting it online, because who knows, next week we may not be open. We may be closed for however long it takes to get power up, buildings fixed, whatever. It is a point of concern, but we'll be fine, folks, and we'll be back when this is all over. Now it's time to use the batch roller. The job of the batch roller is to do exactly what I've done in other videos by rolling it on a heated table. Instead, I'm having a machine do it, and the machine itself is heated. This allows me to do a bigger batch without an assistant, or a bigger batch than I can do under any other circumstance because I'm just not strong enough. This equipment has a minimum amount of sugar it needs to have on it to even work. So we're not going to use it for all but the biggest batches, but for the biggest batches it works well. This is the 4th batch I've made on this machine, and I'm still learning how to use it. I have the burn marks to prove it. We need to draw the candy into a taper so we can pull it into rods. We can do this by pinching off a bit of the end, the scrap, and we save this scrap. We sell it in the store under the name Unicorn Droppings, and no, we don't sell it mail order. The rods of candy cool off quickly once I start getting it to the table, but if I don't roll them, at least for the first few minutes they're off the log, they're going to develop a flat side, and we'd like to keep the candy as round as possible to keep the image as round as possible. This machine is sort of working upside down from what I usually do. Usually the table is heated. In this case, the heating element is on top of the candy. All that's left for us to do is to cut up the candy into bite-sized pieces. Thank you for watching our video. We do appreciate it. If you like this video, please check out our others here on YouTube. You can also subscribe to us here. We'd love that. We're trying to get 1 million viewers eventually. We'd also like to invite you to look at our Instagram feed, Facebook, and Twitter. We update regularly. And you can always get our candy at our website, which is www.pd.net. Check it out. We make a wide selection of candy. If you're ever in Tallahassee, please come and visit. We do demonstrations on a regular basis, but we don't have a fixed schedule. Hopefully you'll get to see more videos after the storm passes. Update you in a few days on how things are going. Bye.